A/B testing can have an absolutely massive impact on your e-commerce business, but how much of an impact? In this video, I break down an A/B test deathmatch, pitting Amazon's own brand experiments against 3 of the top online A/B testing services. And this is not clickbait. The results will shock you. Let's dive into it. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Heist, where we deep dive into all topics related to e-commerce and Amazon FBA. And one of the biggest weapons as an e-commerce seller that you can institute in your business is to use the data-rich elements of online shopping to do A/B tests. You can test images, you can test copy, you can test customer sentiment, you can look at your competitors against yourself. There's really thousands of different iterations and tests that you can do. And one of the biggest tests that you can do specifically for marketplaces like the Amazon platform, where you're basically competing against hundreds of other competitors, is to actually conduct A/B tests with your listing image. You literally have fractions of a second to draw customers in to get them to click. So the difference between a good listing image and an okay listing image can literally be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So here's how this is going to go down. We're going to go into Amazon brand analytics, and then we're going to also go into 3 of the leading platforms in the space that e-commerce sellers are using, including Pickfu, Helpfull, and newcomer Sellametrics. We're going to set up these A/B tests. We're going to let them run, compare the results, and get a so what analysis of what worked and what didn't. But most importantly, at the end of this video, you're going to be able to compare and contrast with an existing real product how you can leverage these various platforms, the pros, the cons, and what it all means. So let's start off by diving into my computer to demo how to set up all of these experiments across these platforms. Alrighty, so we are now in the mothership looking at how to actually set these up across various platforms. And we're gonna start with Amazon. So the cool thing about Amazon is you can actually run A/B experiments on your actual products with actual customers searching on the platform and buying products via pay-per-click. You do need to have brand registry for this. So if you don't have brand registry, unfortunately, you can't run these experiments with Amazon. But if you do, it's super simple, and there's a couple ways to get there. First off, you may have actually seen a little module here on your homepage within Seller Central that shows experiment eligibility. They'll maybe recommend some products that have the volume and or the elements that make sense for a test. So you can see that right here. But if you want to actually customize this and select a specific product or ASIN in your catalog, you just go here to this brand tab, and then you come down here to manage experiments. This is where you're going to be able to set up new experiments. And this is also where you can review the results of previous or active experiments that are happening right now. So you can see we don't have any active experiments, but there's been 3 total experiments that are in the queue with this particular product. So to come in and create a new one, you can just come in here and go create new experiment. And then you basically have 3 different options of tests that you can do. You can test the A+ content imagery, you can test the product title, or you can test the main image. And for the purposes of this demo, we're going to go to main image. And that's the one that really you should be actively running all the time, various main image A/B tests. And then what this dashboard is going to show is all of the ASINs or products that you are actually able to run main image experiments on. So you can see here there's 3 in this catalog that I can select. These ones down here, you can see it's either low traffic or there's an active experiment, so you can't run multiple experiments at the same time. And if you just don't get enough eyeballs, basically it's not going to be statistically significant, so Amazon doesn't give you the chance. But let's say, for example, this is the product we want to run a test on. Click on that. I can actually name the experiment, so I can say, hey, test image XYZ against image XYZ, whatever nomenclature you want to make it memorable. You can actually select the duration. The default's going to be 10 weeks. We generally like to go 6 weeks. And then if there's really compelling results that are coming through intra-week, we'll basically end the experiment early. And you will get results every single week that you can check in. So they'll refresh this on a weekly basis, but we'll usually set it up for 6 weeks. And then after you've named it, you can also put your hypothesis on what you think is going to happen. So it's going to show you here the current image of your product that's on the Amazon platform. All you then need to do is just go to upload image and actually throw in an image of the new one that you want to test. It takes about a day or 2 to approve the experiment. So super simple, takes literally less than 10 minutes to set up, and then you just sit back. And then we generally come in here on a weekly basis to check results. And we're going to do that later in the video for an actual example here. Now, the next option we're going to look at is Pickfu, which is probably one of the main well-known players in the space for doing A/B tests, if not the leader. You can sign up for free. I'm also going to throw a link down below so you get a bit of a discount if you want to use Pickfu for the first time. It's actually a pretty good deal. You basically just sign up for free here. Then you just come into start a new poll. You can either use their poll builder or build from scratch. We'll generally just use the poll builder because it's got some specific things. You can see there's e-commerce, gaming, publishing, marketing, mobile app development, bunch of different options. We're in e-commerce, so we'll go ahead and select that. And then it's going to ask you, what do you actually want to test? In our case, it's a main image, but you can select really any of these things. And then it gives you some prompted language, which I really like. And the one that I kind of like is this: based on the image, which product would you rather buy? Again, it hones in on what exactly you want them to look at, and it also hones in on the actual buying intent and trying to tap into that. So I'm gonna go ahead and select that. It's pre-populated, we're good to go. Then we go to the next step. And then basically all you need to do is drag the two images. So I'm going to do a hypothetical example here just to show this demo with an actual Anker power bank, an A versus B. Let's say you've got a 3D renderer and you want to test different angles, one that's a little bit bigger and a different texture and at a bit of a different angle against this one. This could be a hypothetical test that you may actually want to run. Go to the next step. And then you can either do a general audience, which is going to be this $100 amount. It's basically going to be every generic person. It's probably not going to be your customer archetype. It may not have all the features. If you go into custom audience, enables you to kind of hone in on actual interests, age ranges, Amazon Prime membership, kind of the spending habits, beer consumption, all kinds of stuff. You can see all these different things here. The trick thing here is, let's say I wanted to get somebody with a bachelor's degree. We'll look at this total over here. It's just added $40. And let's say that, you know, it's females that I wanted to kind of target that are 35 to 44. It's going to add another price there. So if you want to just kind of keep it super simple, like we did for our experiment, you basically just have none of these things selected, and it's going to be, I think, $100 for your experiment, not including the discount that you can get through the link down below. Then you want to select the audience size. I generally like to keep it at 100, and that's what we did for all of our experiments for this video. So we're going to go ahead and click 100, next steps. And then there's this free kind of personal traits, but again, any of these other habits that you wanted to add, here, it's going to change the total here and add additional costs. So we're going to go ahead and lock this one in, go to the next step. It's going to enable the CSV download. If you make it public, you can save $5, but a lot of Amazon sellers probably don't want their products kind of publicly displayed. So we come here, bada bing, bada boom, and then there's total to pay is $100. Go to proceed to checkout, and then boom, you review your order, it's $100, you check out, you're done. And usually literally within 15 minutes for a generic audience like this, it's going to be ready right away. If you do more custom audiences, it may take an hour or a couple hours, maybe even a day, depending on how specific you wanted your actual survey taker to be. So that's Pickfu, super simple to set up. Helpfull, very much the same thing. We can come in here and just go ahead and go try for free. And very similar, it's got some prompted things, very similar to Pickfu. You can kind of select here, images, text, websites. What's really cool about Helpfull is they've got a whole section on Amazon. So if you want to test brand names, packaging, images, business names, there's other kind of fun stuff here, but we're going to go ahead and select the Amazon product image survey. And then again, it's pre-prompted a term here. Which of the following product pictures do you like best and most likely to click on first? You can customize this if you wanted to. Same kind of deal here. We'll come in here and we'll upload our hypothetical Anker images again for the test that we did, which we'll go over the results later. We use one of my actual products. Similar thing here. You can kind of select the audience if you want. So how many people do you want to send the test to? Goes to 100, and it's going to change your actual credits here. If I want to go specific demographics, very, again, similar to Pickfu, there's a bunch that you can select from age, gender, interest targeting, all that fun stuff. Again, the problem is if you select any of these, it's obviously going to change some of your costs. What I will say about Helpfull that's nice is when you get into these customizations, they're a lot less expensive in my experience than Pickfu. So I think one of the benefits, although Helpfull is a little less known, it is going to cost you a little bit less. And I tend to find that the results are very similar. So I've really kind of found Helpfull quite good. I like the user interface, pretty slick, a nice alternative to Pickfu. Then you go down to confirmation and it gives you whether or not you want to buy credits or you want to kind of upgrade your account to monthly. If you don't want to, you can just go ahead and check out. And again, very similar to Pickfu, we're about the same cost. And the experiment that we run that was generic 100 people, it was done within 15 minutes. Now the third and final one is Sellametrics, which is actually created by an actual Amazon seller. This is kind of an under the radar one right now, just recently launched, and they're kind of working out some of the details, but it's getting a lot of really good feedback from the people I know that have used it. I've only run one experiment for this actual video, but I know people that have run multiple ones and they have really good things to say about it. Apparently the audience is a little bit more high quality, a little less survey, kind of coupon clipper, which some of those other ones can get. In my experience, it was very, very similar, honestly, to Pickfu and Helpfull. I didn't notice any difference in comments, etc. But we'll go ahead here and just show the setup for this one. So for this one, you just kind of fill out your name, all that fun stuff. And then when you come in here, you can just go to start a new poll. How many options do you have. In our case, we've got 2 images. Audience size only gives you 50 or 100. And then their experiments are generally going to be $60 if you don't have a discount. But I'm going to throw again a link down below similar to the other tools to get you a bit of a deal. At least for your first one, you'll kind of find some savings there. So I'm not going to go ahead and check out here, but it's very similar setup. You just throw in the A/B images. The only difference with Sellametrics is they actually don't give you audience targeting. So if you want some of that specific stuff, you're not going to be able to get anything, at least right now, other than a generic audience. So it's cheaper. Apparently the quality of the surveyors might be a little bit better, but you're not going to be able to target any specific interests or demographics. Okay, so the setup's super easy. And again, a lot of these experiments using third-party software can literally be done in under an hour. Most of them, if you're surveying 100 people, it's like 15 minutes. The Amazon brand experiments do take some time to accumulate data because it's real customers looking at real A/B tests on your actual product page. But the setup's super easy. Then you just got to sit back and let the results come in. And this is the fun part. We're now going to dive into my computer, look at Amazon, look at Pickfu, Helpfull, as well as Sellametrics, and just see how they're different and what the results mean. So let's dive back into my computer. All right, so drum roll, let's get into the results. Starting with Amazon, and again, this is an actual real product. In fact, this image here, which was the previous image that we wanted to test against, is related to a case study, which I'm gonna link up above. It was one of the first videos, if not the first video I did on this channel. So that was actually this product. So it's a couple years old now. This is an electronic product. It involves Bluetooth pairing. So this one involves basically a phone that provides some more insight and detail into what the product does. And then this one over here is literally just a really well done 3D rendering of the actual product itself. Nothing really kind of detailed, no phone in the image, etc. So more plain Jane. Also similar to what some of the other leaders in this niche actually have it presented as. I thought for sure the current one was going to win, but we'll see here that that didn't happen. Was originally going to run this experiment for 6 weeks. We ended up cutting it short because it was so compelling. It was just a little over 4 weeks, but the data was just so decisive, it didn't make sense for us to run it out. We'll see here that there's a 93% probability that this new one that we wanted to test was better. And here's what the data actually looks like. You'll see here that there's a 4.6% improvement in conversion rate, which is absolutely massive. And then you'll see here that we sold more, there was more revenue, there's more sales from search, and then you'll see that it had 71,000 impressions, and then almost the same here, just shy of 71,000 impressions across the board. And if you come over here, you can toggle between units sold, total sales, or the actual conversion rate. But every single week that data came in, it was the same compelling evidence. And I was absolutely blown away by this. Real Amazon customers, real people with buying intent searching for the product. We'll get into actually how much mathematically in terms of revenue and profit this could deliver over a year towards the end. But let's jump over to Pickfu and some of the other options next and see how they turned out. Now, this is really shocking. This one here is a little bit flipped around, unfortunately, but this is the new image here on the left, and then the actual current image is on the right. And you'll see it's almost the exact opposite of the Amazon results. In this case, 94% of respondents from Pickfu's survey selected the one that Amazon said was not the best, and not the best by a long shot. So our generic audience on the internet deciding which one was better actually selected the current image. And if we would have kind of implemented that on Amazon, we probably wouldn't have seen that 4.6% conversion benefit that we may see moving forward. But I'll just kind of scroll down here. One of the cool things about Pickfu, we're going to blur this out because it's going to, reveal some stuff about the actual product, but you get actual options and responses from the real survey takers, which you can often sometimes glean some really good insights, especially if you're comparing it against a competitor or you're testing new product development design features. So it just says here, the image in A gives me more good feelings than B. Choice A seems to fit better. Based on the image, option A seems the best in my opinion. This one over here says it gives more info in the picture. This option felt more engaging since it showed all the highlights of the XYZ product on the phone screen. So it also gives you not only the actual statistical results, but also some comments here. Now let's just see for fun what Helpfull showed. Again, this is the current image here, and this is the one that we wanted to test. Very, very similar to Pickfu. 91% of people from the survey have said that you should stick with the current option. Again, man, we would have been leaving 4.6% conversion uplift if we would have trusted this information. It's kind of cool here about Helpfull Helpfull is, and again, we're going to blur this out, but there's actual people's names here, so you know that they're actual human beings. This guy here says the second picture just provides me with a lot more information than the other one. I can barely even tell what the item is in picture A. Again, because this isn't the customer for this product, they may not know what it is. They don't have that same buying intent. They're not using search words explicitly for what it is, which is one of the big lapses that these generic surveys can have. Look at one on the right just for fun. The option I chose gives me a better idea of what this thing is and makes me curious and want to learn more. And this one lets you kind of toggle between the two options. If I wanted to see different comments, I could also do a word cloud here, which can give you some insights into that. So that's helpful. I really actually quite like them. Very similar again to Pickfu, which just tends to be a little bit cheaper, but I don't think you can go wrong with either option. Sellametrics, the new dog on the scene. I should say that the other two took about 15 minutes to complete. We're now a little over a day and we still don't have those last two people that have filled this out. So I think because it's a new software, the audience just isn't quite as rich yet, but we've got enough to know what the actual results are. This image here on the right is the one that's the current listing image. This is the one that we tested against that wildly outperformed on Amazon's results. Very similar to Helpfull, very similar to Pickfu. 94% of these respondents are saying stick with the current image versus 6% not. And this one again provides some quick nitty-gritty comments, very similar to those other options. Just a little bit less of a UX UI, a little bit less data points. Again, I think Sellametrics is kind of focused more on, having a price advantage at least now, and hopefully we'll see more feature-rich things that come out of this. But how crazy is that, right? That you could have almost the inverse actual performance results from a real-life experiment with Amazon customers versus these other ones. So this is why A/B testing matters, how powerful it can be, and how important I think it is to use actual Amazon customers when you're looking at things like the main image that you can run with Amazon brand experiments. This is the actual product. This is 12-month actual data from the business reports. We can see here that there's almost 33,000 sessions that this product gets in an annual basis. If we kind of run it along here, this product will make a little north of $200,000 a year. So if we run this out, I'm looking at the uplift of that new image, which is about a 4.61% uplift. And we're assuming that this is going to seasonally kind of improve across the board. So at Christmas, if people are shopping for this item more, we're still expecting the same amount of uplift. So we're doing some assumptions here. But if we take that and we multiply that, what we're basically saying is there's north of 1,500 more sales I can expect over a year period for this product. And at a price of $45, which is the average price for this product throughout the year, that's $68,000 more in revenue. And assuming a 20% net profit margin after everything, which is about what this product gets, that's $14,000 more profit in my product simply for testing this image and testing it once. So I don't know about you, but that's actually mind-boggling stuff. So when you look at really world-class 3D renderers, or you're looking at really good creative agencies that maybe charge you a couple $1,000 for a really high-end photo shoot, guess what? This is why that stuff is worth the investment. If you think about how much money you spend on ads, if you think about how much time and money you spend on manufacturing and shipping and all this stuff, most people don't tend to put that same thought, attention, and investment into actually improving their listing on Amazon to optimize conversion rate. And even a subtle tweak in an image, this is taking an existing image I already had and just testing it against the current one, I potentially am going to generate north of $68,000 in revenue. And depending on the multiple when I sell this business, that could be $60,000 to $100,000 more at exit for this actual business in my pocket. Absolutely insane stuff, and why A/B testing matters. So how freaking crazy is that? I was expecting some differences in the results, but frankly, I was not expecting the inverse to happen. And that just goes to show that looking at real data, analyzing real world situations, and understanding how the pros and cons play out is critically important. So let's dive into that a little bit. When would you use Amazon versus the other ones? What are the pros and cons of each? First of all, I think if you've got an existing product and you want to test either the listing image, the title, the bullets, or the A+ content, you want to use brand experiments. And the reason being is those third-party services are not necessarily your customer. They don't have the same buying intent. They're not the same demographics, and they're not actively searching and buying on the Amazon platform. So when you can tap into real customers using real search terms, clicking on your real ads, that's going to be the most indicative performance. And I would trust Amazon brand experiments head over heels above any other service when it comes to a real product. So that begs the question, when would you use these other services? Well, I think there's a handful of situations. Number one, for an existing product on the Amazon platform, again, you're kind of isolated to a handful of experiments you can run. If you want to look at secondary images, you want to want to look at video, you want to compare and contrast your actual product versus others that it's up against on the Amazon platform. You can't do that with brand experiments, and so those other services make a ton of sense. The other reason that you'd want to use those other services is if you're in the pre-launch stage and you're doing product research. Maybe you want to assess different features of a product. You want to test your image hypothetically against one that's actually on the platform that you're going to be competing against. The only way to do that before you've actually launched the product is to use those services. But here's a very big caveat, and it's something I don't think a lot of people talk about with Pickfu, Helpfull, and these other third-party softwares, is that they're probably not your customer. There's somebody on this platform that gets paid, I don't know, 50 cents or a buck to leave a quick comment. You'll definitely get some benefit from that, but it may not be your customer. So the more that you can dive into those demographics, to those interest sorts, and to hone in on who your hypothetical customer could be, the better. But another food for thought here is to actually go out and speak to actual customers. Believe it or not, talk to real life human beings. There's no one size fits all approach, but just be aware of the blind spots that exist. And just because you're doing an experiment on one of these software tools does not mean that you're getting the best results for shoppers on the Amazon platform. So this stuff matters. It's real dollars. It has a real impact on your business. And I hope that this value sheds some light on that, enables you to see the pros and cons of Amazon brand experiments, these other software tools, and how you can use them in your own business. If this is your first time here, hit subscribe. Would love to have you here as part of the Heist community. And if you like this video, check out this one right now because the YouTube algorithm thinks you're going to like it. Until next week, see you guys. Cheers.